But yeah, it's Fantasia this week. I think it's going to be a very interesting review for a number of reasons. See how we feel around this table about certain parts of it. I was saying to Victoria, yesterday, it was either yesterday or today, that this movie will be the real test of my friendship with you two.
Yeah.
Why?
Because if I can get you guys to sit through this 2-hour movie and not like hate my guts, I think we're in the clear.
We're good for
yeah, I think
that,
we're in the clear.
Well, I suggested to Alex because for me to watch this movie, I was wrapping birthday gifts, 40 of them specifically, and I was like, Alex, you just need to like do something in the background that like doesn't really require your attention that you can watch the TV at the same time. You know what I mean? So that's how I was able to get through it.
Yeah.
I didn't take her advice, so I had to watch it.
I just want to point out that
Increments.
my suggestion from the beginning was to split this in half, and Dan vetoed my vote.
I was not about to put all of you listening to this through 2 episodes of Fantasia.
Yeah.
No way. Get this out of the way in one.
But I feel like if we had filmed half and half, it would have been easier on us, and you could have just combined it.
Yeah, but then that would have taken like 3 months because.
Yeah, you know the way we do things around here.
That's true.
Yeah, whatever.
It'd be like Halloween by the time we
But I
got
do
to
get what
this.
you're
It
saying.
probably would be.
Yeah. I will preface all of this today by saying that if you're someone who, for some reason, has actually not seen this film,
It's
and
okay.
it's okay first of all. But if you're gonna go by this review, then don't do that because I don't think this movie. I don't think
movie. I don't even think it fits into the category of movie.
No.
Well, I think that's actually a good point. It's like a bunch of it's a bunch of silly symphonies in a movie. That's the way
Yeah.
I look at it.
I think there was like a specific term that it was supposed to be called. Like it was a new kind of like.
Well, the way the production of it, like Fantasound. I mean that was made for this. I'll get into
That's
that.
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm just saying for like people sitting around reviewing, talking about this movie, it's gonna be really hard.
This is kind of like those like Baby Einstein things that you used to play for your kids when they were infants to stimulate their brain and also put them to sleep.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking when I first started. I was like, oh, this reminds me of like the nap music on YouTube at the daycare.
Yeah.
Like just like music and like visual like
Yeah.
nonsense.
You know what this movie is good? It's a good work from home in the background while you're working.
Yeah. Otherwise,
That's
If
how I
you
should've
enjoy
done it.
if you enjoy
Don't put it-
classical music. I mean.
yeah. Just I don't suggest listening to this in the car because you might fall asleep.
While driving.
But even then, like some of the ones that we'll get to, like they're kind of like left up to your own interpretation. Like if you close your eyes and like picture,
Yeah,
you know.
Sure.
So, I guess we'll give you what we thought. I don't know if anyone came up with anything, but anyway, you ready to get started?
I am so ready. Let's get this over with.
We'll try to do this real quick for you, Toya. Okay.
Because I'm yawning as we speak.
Well, I'm gonna put you to sleep now too by talking more about Fantasia.
Great.
Okay. Fantasia is Walt Disney's third animated feature after Snow White and Pinocchio. It consists of 8 animated segments set to pieces of famous classical music. The Philadelphia Orchestra provides the music for the film, being conducted by Leopold Stokowski, who was a British conductor, one of the leading conductors of the 20th century. His big thing, aside from being like a famous conductor, the freehand conducting with like the traditional baton that you see, that was kind of like him.
Yeah.
Started doing that. He kind of like made that his thing, I guess you would say.
Wait, he started using a baton, or he didn't use one?
The more like freehand, like over here, and just
yeah.
like doing whatever he wants with it, I guess. Walt Disney just happened to meet Leopold by chance at a restaurant. He saw him there, and the two agreed to have dinner together. As they talked, Walt told of his plans to do The Sorcerer's Apprentice, which at the time he just planned on that being a short, and other possible projects using classical music with animation as well. And much to Walt's surprise, one of the most famous conductors in the world said, "Yeah, I would love to conduct that for you." And it was done. Fantasia gets its conductor.
Great.
With The Sorcerer's Apprentice back in 1938, 2 years prior, it was originally slated to be an elaborate silly symphony designed as a comeback for Mickey Mouse, who had started to decline in popularity. But
I wonder why.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the animal abuse. The nasty attitude, Mickey. Anyway.
Yeah, the public was not really in favor of that. As production costs continued to rise, though, Roy informed Walt that the short could never earn such a large sum back on its own. So Walt decided to include it in a feature-length film of multiple segments set to classical music with Stokowski, and Deems Taylor, who's our narrator, as collaborators. Story writers Dick Humer and Joe Grant sat down with Stokowski and Taylor and listened to over 100 recordings, making selections and collecting ideas for possible interpretations within just 3 weeks.
That sounds like, that sounds so boring, listening to hundreds of songs.
We listened to 8.
And I wanted to kill myself.
We listened to 8 with no animation.
I know.
They listened to 100 in 3 weeks. Walt himself didn't put much input into the selections because, as he would say himself, he didn't really take to classical music, and he didn't really like it all that much until he started seeing it put together with animation, and it started to click in his head as well.
Yeah.
So he figured, I can make a whole film out of this for people like me, who, when they hear classical music, they fall asleep and they find it boring. But if I kind of stimulate their imagination with animation, maybe it'll entice something out of them too.
It didn't work that well, but okay.
Yeah, like
That's the idea, at least.
I love the idea about it, of like Fantasia, but it just didn't work. Like, I feel like usually you have a film and then you add music to it, but this, you started with music and then added the like film to it, and I like that idea, but it just didn't work.
Well, Walt was going to treat this like a big experiment. He knew that he wanted more than just a traditional theater setting, so he came up with the idea of, when you're viewing this movie, he wanted it to feel more like you're in a concert hall. So you feel the orchestra, you feel everything that's going on, and it just doesn't sound like you're looking at a screen. He knew to do that, he came up with the idea called Fantasound. The idea being to create the illusion that there's an actual symphony in the audience with you. So the way it would work is that there would be 3 speakers up front, one in the center, one on the left, my left is over here, and one on the right, and then one in the back corners of the theater. It would use 2 sound channels directed by somebody in a soundboard so that he could bounce the sound to the different speakers depending on how the scene was.
Yeah.
For example, Night on Bald Mountain, when the bell tolls, that comes, if you were in one of these theaters during the roadshow, they call it was when they put on these special presentations on its debut, the sound of the bell came from the back speakers, so it sounded like it was coming from in the distance behind you.
Right.
So when Chernobog looks in the distance, you kind of also are like looking behind you to see what that noise is. It's a nice idea in theory, but there's one problem with it. Getting theaters to agree to this, getting trained professionals into all these theaters for this movie to operate the soundboard and correctly, bounce this out to different speakers, they weren't really interested in it. And
it's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of time and effort. And for other movies to adapt this, different technique as well, they weren't really interested either, because then they would have to also, train someone to basically bounce the sound around.
Yeah. Do you mean adopt? Because you said adapt.
Whatever. Adopt. Adopt? What did I say? Adopt.
You said for other movies to adapt this. But I think you meant either to adapt to this or to adopt this.
Upon its release, it received critical acclaim and even was viewed right from the beginning as a masterpiece, considered to be a landmark film in cinema history, receiving applause all throughout the film as it was airing.
I don't understand.
I don't either.
It did so well.
Rotten Tomatoes has it at 95.
What the
Metacritic has it at 96. And,
Are y'all on drugs?
And it's often been referred to as the most ambitious animated feature to ever come out of the Disney studios.
I mean, okay, fair. Ambitious does not mean successful.
See, I think this movie, it's impossible, but I feel like you had to watch this in 1940.
Yeah, to
because this must have blown people away.
I'm sure it did.
Like things like the sound coming from all areas of the theater, that must have been, I almost feel like that, I kind of think it was a little bit ahead of its time, because they just didn't have the ability. Like now, that kind of stuff, I mean, they kind of do that now anyway.
Yeah, they do.
Different,
surround sound.
Yeah. Like that, it's made perfect for.
Yeah. We even have a category in the Academy Awards for that, right? Isn't that sound mixing?
Yeah, basically bouncing it from playing with music, sound.
Yeah.
Total budget of $2.28 million. It would make $76.4 million worldwide. So it covered its expense and some.
Damn.
I'm sure that made Roy very happy.
I'm sure it did.
To this day, it is still Disney's longest animated feature at 125 minutes, and it definitely feels like that, I would say.
It's very long.
I was shocked when I saw it. I was like, no, there has to be something that's been longer than that. I think there's been a couple Pixars that have gone over the 2-hour mark, especially recently, but Disney animation, they've not done anything longer
Really?
than
Because
this.
Dinosaur's a really fucking long movie.
They've done movies that aren't animation that are longer. Like Mary Poppins is longer than this.
Yeah.
There are other ones too. I can't remember, but animation and that's another thing too. This is considered animation, but it's kind of like one of those hybrids too.
Yeah, but I feel like, so is Mary Poppins. So
Yeah.
That's true.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but 125 minutes and
Okay.
finally, and then we'll get into the actual movie. We like to do where you can find it in the Disney parks, right? Fantasia is actually in a lot.
Everywhere.
I don't think I ever really realized it. Like, I'm gonna leave stuff out, and you're probably gonna be like, "Oh, you forgot this, you forgot that."
What about that?
Yeah, the Sorcerer's Hat, Hollywood Studios for
It used
years,
to be,
it was the icon,
The park icon.
right in front of the Chinese theater.
Yeah.
Also in Disney World, you've got Fantasia Gardens, one of the mini golf.
golf.
Yep.
Yep.
Sorcerer Mickey and the flood scene from The Sorcerer's Apprentice that shows up in Fantasmic. Great movie ride.
Well, that's not there anymore.
But it would have neither is the
R.I.P.
Sorcerer's Hat, but
Yeah.
PhilharMagic, it's in there too.
Yep.
Funny enough, in Fantasia they had the idea, they didn't do it, but in the theaters they were also going to pump in smells for certain scenes, which they end up doing in PhilharMagic
Yep.
as well. So
Yeah.
and then
Also on the screen, you were talking yesterday about in the rooms.
the what?
The rooms, like the channel with like the schedule for the
Oh,
day
my
and
favorite
everything.
channel?
Yeah, a lot of that
The,
music is Fantasia music.
The Disney World Today channels in the hotel rooms.
That is Hillary's favorite.
There's so much of those songs are from Fantasia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally, in the Contemporary Resort, they have the Fantasia shop
Yes.
for merchandise, but they also have.
That's one of the best gift shops.
You
in
find
the
so
hotel,
much
by the
stuff
way.
there. Yeah, I know.
Michael likes that one.
Yeah, a lot
Wait,
of pins
where?
you can
Yeah,
find there.
pins.
Contemporary.
Oh.
Contemporary, yeah. And they also have a bronze statue, I think it's in like the lobby area, of the famous handshake between Mickey Mouse and Stokowski
Yeah.
there as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Fantasia, released on November 13th, 1940, rated TVG with a runtime on Disney Plus of 2 hours, 6 minutes, and 51 seconds. Disclaimer message right off the bat
Yeah.
about negative depictions and or mistreatments of people or cultures.
I missed that when we put it on.
Well, they won't let you pause it.
No, you can't pause.
Yeah.
Because every time I'm like, oh, I need to write this down, and it goes away, so
It's
I
too
end up
fast.
screenshotting it. But yeah, they
Yeah.
only put up there for 7 seconds, and I have to say, on first viewing, I had no idea what they were referring to. On second viewing,
with me.
yes, I had know what they were
And then
referring to.
even I pointed stuff out to you last night. And you
Yeah.
were like, oh.
Which I guess that's a good thing that I didn't notice. Or maybe that's a bad thing. I don't know.
Maybe it's an ignorant thing?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I saw the message in the beginning and I was like, oh, I got to keep my eye open for whatever it is. And then I got to the end, I was like, I don't know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Well, almost immediately, like a couple minutes in, I was like,
Yeah.
I feel like I understand, even though I couldn't read the whole thing. It went too fast. It was only up there for 7 seconds. I'm a slow reader, but I feel like this is probably what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Like, or one of the things.
Yeah. Directed by, there's 12 different directors, so I'm not going to go through all of them. But story by
That's
Dick.
rude.
I don't have it up. You're going to make me read them all?
Oh, okay.
All right, fine.
No, it's
hold
okay,
on.
it's okay.
No, I got it.
know
I got
who
it.
they
I got it.
are.
Directed by Samuel Armstrong, James Alger, Bill Roberts, Paul Satterfield, Ben Sharpstein, David Dehan, Hamilton Lusk, Jim Hanley, Ford Beebe, T. is
Okay.
his name,
Okay.
Norman Ferguson, and Wilfred Jackson. All 12 of them. There you go.
There you go.
Story by Dick Humer, I love that name, and Joe Grant. Produced by Walt Disney and Ben Sharpstein, starring Leopold Stokowski, our director, and Deems Taylor, our narrator / master of ceremonies. We open up with an empty stage with a blue background. You got musicians beginning to enter and take their seats. We never actually see their faces. They're more like silhouettes and like their shadows,
You know,
giant
sometimes
shadows.
you see their faces.
Sometimes you can see their faces if it's like on Deems Taylor and like one of them is sitting there, but like
Yeah.
they don't make a point to show really.
No, they
any-
don't.
Band members begin to tune their instruments and get ready to perform. I believe there was only like 2 women in this whole band, and they play the harps. So, but I was looking for them. I didn't see any more. Just the 2.
Well, we didn't see the flute players. I'm sure there were.
No, we did.
We
I think
did?
there was a man. I think he was a man.
Oh,
Because I remember when they were all leaving the stage.
there's
and
only
they're-
one flute player.
Oh, there. Yeah, I remember seeing the flute player. Like, I specifically remember seeing a flute player and
I
it
feel like
being
it's
a
weird.
man.
I feel like it's just weird that there's one, because usually you need a bunch.
Well, when they were
Right?
Yeah,
When
I
they
mean,
when they were leaving
Not
for
necessarily.
intermission, I was like looking at everybody leaving, and I only saw the 2 women, and they were the harp players.
No, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, I don't know. I always kind of got the impression that we weren't seeing the entire band or orchestra.
yeah, because it looked like it looked small.
Probably.
Yeah.
Last to arrive.
There were more women. They were just off the camera.
We'll show 2, that's it. Last to arrive on stage is our master of ceremony, Deems Taylor. Deems Taylor was a music critic, composer, and promoter of classical music. Walton Sikowski would contact Deems after they heard him provide intermission commentary during radio broadcasts for the New York Philharmonic, and both agreed that he would be the most suitable for the role, so they got him, and he agreed to do it.
Okay.
Deems welcomes the audience and lays the groundwork for what this film is going to be. It's the designs and stories that music has inspired in the minds of a group of artists, the Walt Disney artists.
Yep.
Those designs and stories will be accompanied with the music that you hear. He also pre-classifies all the music tonight into 3 different groups. The kind that tells a definitive story, the kind that has no specific plot but does paint a series of definitive pictures, and the kind that music exists simply for its own sake. The first one is that last one.
Yep.
And it's very obvious. First piece, we're gonna get through these first 2 as quick as possible because there's really not much to say.
Are you sure?
First
We'll
one is my
find out.
favorite.
No, really?
Because it's the Nutcracker, right?
No.
Oh, it's not? Okay.
See, look,
Second one.
you don't even remember the first part.
The first piece.
That was just the orchestra then, right?
Well, it was Toccata and Fugue.
Yeah.
It was the abstract one. That was just the orchestra playing, and then it went to lines and
Oh, yeah.
different. Yeah.
That
okay.
doesn't, like... Yeah,
What?
In my, yeah, it was...
It started. The first third of it is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. With the and I said, oh, I like this part because it's soothing with the mountain thing.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
And it looks like the flutes are charging at me.
Toccata and Fugue by Johann Sebastian Bach. He labels it the third kind, saying that even the title has no meaning beyond a description of the form of the music.
Yeah.
It's more of an abstract piece, which as a result we see more or less abstract images. The first third is just the band playing, and their silhouettes and shadows are lit by different lights, and like projects them to be like really big on the walls, and it synchronizes with the music. Everybody knows this one though, right? Like you've heard this one before. It's kind of like the haunted house music that you hear.
Yeah.
That's what Michael said. Yeah.
Yeah, that
It was like, this is like the horror movie sound.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So after about like a third of the music is like the orchestra playing, it transitions to just a single cloudy colored screen.
Yeah.
With flickering lights on it, shaped in the shape of the bows that like you would use for on a violin.
Yep.
They mimic the sound into movement. They're flying across the screen. Other instruments join in too. Like I think other pieces of the violin and the strings come in as well.
It reminded me of, like, a baby sensory.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Like Baby Einstein.
Yeah.
It was kind of like there were like some flutes in there too. They like
Yep.
flopped
Oboes,
around and
clarinets. They're like little circular light patterns kind of
Yeah.
gliding around.
yep.
Different presentations of shapes and colors. You get like
mountain things.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. You get like hills and like linear landscapes, and like you're passing through them as they go up and down.
Yeah.
The only thing that I really kind of like made out and they kind of look like something to me is like the ending kind of look like like the ancient gods from Hercules, like they're setting up in the sky.
Mount Olympus.
Yeah, Mount Olympus, right? It kind of looked like that a little bit. It had like the big hills and like the clouds underneath it.
It did.
Yeah, and that's really it for the first one. It
Yeah,
was just
it was boring.
music accompanied by abstract music, abstract images.
I mean, it definitely was like I remember it from a kid. So like, I've told everybody at this table this, but I'll just tell you guys, listeners. Like my grandfather used to watch me when I was a kid, and so his 2 favorite movies were Fantasia and Bambi. So I've seen them probably more than any other film by Disney in my entire life.
Those are the only 2 VHSs he owned, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. But like he just was like really like he loved music and like he loved hunting and outside, so he loved Bambi. But like so I've seen these like so many times, and this one's boring.
Yeah. I said to you, if I can, specifically you, Alex, if I could get you through the first 2 or 3, then I think she'll be fine. It's really those first 2 or 3 where it's like...
Well, that's where I took the break the first time, after like the first like 20-ish minutes or so.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I was able to do a bigger chunk. I did
All
like a little over an hour.
All I could picture in here is you like watching this and going, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, that's literally exactly. I said to Michael, I was like, can we shut it off and start again later? And he was like, it's been like 7 minutes. No.
What kept me going, and I texted Vicky during it, I was like, I just wish I could watch Alex, like, be in Alex's head as she's watching it, because it would be so funny to me.
The other thing I would like to point out is that I did actually suggest that we all watch this together.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it would have probably helped some people concentrate. But
Maybe we'll do that going forward. On
maybe.
Tougher
Alex is
ones.
like sitting here with her head hanging.
No, I have it up to help jog my memory.
Fantasia
we get to it.
2000,
Yeah.
maybe Fantasia 2000. We'll have to
Maybe.
do that.
I
have the
liked
sound
that
off,
one
but-
so much better.
I think that one will be easier. when we get to it.
Fantasia 2000, when it came out, I feel like was not as popular.
Yeah.
And a lot of people didn't like it, but I think it aged way better than this.
I can see that because this first Fantasia was like new technology and like something that had never been done before.
Yeah.
So everyone was like blown, like their minds were blown.
Yeah.
And I guess it didn't happen.
Well, this short comes to an end. We see a depiction of what looks like heavens with like light shining in as the conductor feedbacks in. I just want to point out, yeah, I think in this movie alone there was like 5 different shorts that at one point depict heaven. Like they all end with
Yeah.
heaven
They're
every
all
single
really
time.
godly.
Yeah, except one.
Yeah.
One that's sciencey.
Which is outdated, but we'll get there.
Any other thoughts on this one before we move on?
No, it's funny to me though because I was like, oh, I like the first one. That's the Nutcracker, right? And because this one just,
Yeah.
like to me it was just like an intro.
Yeah, yeah.
Or it was like them like warming up still.
Yeah.
Like it didn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, easily my least favorite one.
Yeah.
It's my least favorite one to like talk about. I mean, what are you talking
Yeah.
about? It's just lines and
Yeah.
flashes, and you want to know, you can watch it yourself. I mean, I don't know what else I can tell you.
The
What else can I tell us?
little bows marching in, and you're like,
We should all create the music like you just did there. Like, Deems Taylor returns back on stage to introduce our next piece. He says it's funny how wrong artists can be about their own work. He's talking.
hilarious.
Yeah, I got a good chuckle out of that. He's talking about how Tarkovsky felt about his Nutcracker Suite, which is our next song.
Yeah.
While it's probably his most famous piece, he detested it.
Well, it's-
Really?
Yeah, but you know what? I feel like that happens a lot with a lot of artists. Like I think it was it Van Gogh. He like hated all of his work, and like a lot of it has not seen the light of day because he just like hid it in this weird little attic in his place. Like a lot of artists are like that.
Yeah, they're their own worst critics.
Yeah.
It's interesting because you forget sometimes when you're watching these again that these movies were made during a certain time. So like this was made in 1940, and Deems Taylor says now nobody really plays the Nutcracker Suite anymore. And me and Victoria were like, well, that's not true. But then we realized that was true in 1940, but over the years,
Was it true in 1940?
I think it was
Because
because
you said you'd get into it today.
well, no, this is me getting into it,
Oh.
talking about, but like.
This is me.
Well, I'm just saying because like you sounded like you had like concrete like oh yeah it was out of like nobody
No,
liked it in 1940 and you know
He's right about that. Like, I don't know if I would say that nobody liked it in 1940, but it didn't, like, it's not as popular as it is today.
it wasn't part of the Rockettes in 1940.
It wasn't part of the Rockettes, and it's now been kind of adapted as, like, Christmas music.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I was like, isn't this a Christmas song? And I was like, it's the Nutcracker. And I was like, so yeah.
So
But like, it's weird because, like, I feel like that's been just the case for so long, but, like, I guess in 1940 it wasn't a
Right.
part of Christmas music.
yeah
And Deems Taylor even points out there's no Nutcracker.
So
Just in the title.
yeah
Yeah, so when now I feel like we're reviewing music here, but when the guy composed this music, was it meant to be like a Christmas
I don't think so.
song? Yeah.
then why do you name it the Nutcracker Suite?
I don't know.
Ask
Ask him.
Yeah, and was he from America?
No.
Was he from
Tarkovsky?
Russia?
I think he was Russian.
Yeah, because it's like the Nutcracker as the ballet is a Russian ballet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we start out.
Nice, yeah.
We start out with the Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy, which is the one that's like the soft bells. Yeah, that one.
I love Christmas. It's my favorite holiday.
It's not even. Yeah, see, that's what's so funny. It's not even meant to be Christmas, and like even these animations.
Well, you know,
on Christmas.
You know what I associate with that M&M's commercial with Santa, and they're creeping around. That's the song that's playing during that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
As dawn breaks over a meadow, tiny fairies sprinkle pixie dust drops on the flowers and mushrooms from up below. They all light up, and they also light up a whole spider web.
Yeah. Well, it's really dew.
Oh, that's not a spider web?
Well, no, it is,
The
but they're
dews.
putting dew on everything.
I thought it was like pixie dust that they were.
Well, it is, but it's like supposed to be like in the morning. There's dew on everything.
And they like shimmer.
Yeah.
And then all the bugs get stuck to
Yeah.
Okay, well, I just thought it was nice that they brightened up that spider's home.
Yeah.
Made it nice and pretty for him. This goes on for a little bit. Eventually, the fairies, they all crash into each other. And that's like the transition into the next dance, which is the dancing mushrooms.
So I just have to say
That's what I was like.
Yeah. So you know what's weird about that? And like, okay, so like even as a kid, I remember like understanding what that was representing, which like I guess is really shitty, right? Oh, did you not?
I didn't realize.
Well,
do you know what it is now?
So.
Like, do you need me to?
Yeah, I remember the scene.
They're Asian mushrooms.
They're
Yeah, okay, so it's supposed to be like the cap is supposed to mimic like the Chinese hat, like
the coolie hats.
Yeah.
they're called.
And like the little marks on them are supposed
to represent like their eyes.
their eyes, and then they like
Why couldn't
they're
they just be mushrooms?
well, I know,
Jeez.
and then the like little lump, like their hands, and they're bowing, and it's like really kind of stereotypical.
The dance that they're performing is called the Chinese dance.
Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
So, but it's just interesting how like even like in the 90s as a kid, like I understood that stereotype and I understood like what that was supposed to be representing, and it's not cool, but okay.
Yeah.
Even in 2020, when Hillary's 30 years old, she doesn't understand what it represents.
But I guess that's a good, I don't know, is it a good thing?
Well, that's what we were trying to figure
No,
out,
I
because
think
on
I'm
first
just
viewing, I didn't realize what was going on
non-cultured,
either. And
ignorant, I don't know.
then,
Well, I feel like a lot of these things, like, since we know they're so old, at least this is my mindset, I try to, like, take them for what they were at the time. And, like, that doesn't make it right? No, but, like, instead of just being, like, focusing on all the, like, yeah, they shouldn't have done that. But, like, at the time, like, things were different, you know?
that's kind of the whole motto that they have with how they censor on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Because they could just outright take it out, like other streaming services do that, but they kind of just say, like, at the time,
Which
nobody
I think
batted an eye, but we recognize all these years later how it's not okay. And rather than just censoring it,
Yeah.
we'll just show it and
Erase
acknowledge
history.
That this was
that
wrong.
this is wrong. To sum up this one, the mushrooms are all led by one tiny little mushroom who marches in between them, and they do this dance. Song ends with all the mushrooms in a circle bowing to the little tiny mushroom in the center as it fades out. And that's really all we need to say about that one. The next scene is the dance of the reed flutes. It is a multicolored blossoms are seen floating and spinning around in the water as more continue to fall and fall. Kind of reminds me of Rivers of Light.
Oh, yeah.
The way the
Yeah, I
pads
can
are
see
from the
that.
little... Yeah. Eventually the blossoms, they all flip upside down, and they now take the shape of ballerinas. Their petals taking the shapes of the dresses, and they spin in circles with each other. They spin so much that they end up spinning their way all the way to the edge of like a waterfall, and they fall over the waterfall, and that transitions to the next part. Bubbles start fading up, and we are exactly, and we are underwater in the deep sea where we find a school of goldfish. Every time the goldfish,
What do you have to say about the goldfish, Vicky?
So, like,
She's just making a face.
No, it's just because, well, Alex has it on her phone. And I'm also laughing because I said to Dan, I was, like, watching it last night, and I'm like, because I remember it, you know, and I remember liking it because it was, like, sparkly and, like, whatever. But I'm like, is this, like, racially insensitive in some way? Because it kind of feels like it is, but I couldn't figure out why. And then he explained it, and I was like, oh.
They're doing something called the Arabian dance. It's kind of like, I don't know if this is the right way to put it, but, like, almost like Arabian like belly dancers
Is
kind of dancing.
Is it actually that though? Like, do you know that that's what it's supposed to be?
That was my interpretation of what
so you
they were
didn't
doing.
look up what the Arabian dance is?
No, I did not.
Okay, let's do that now. So I think that the consensus is that the entire ballet is racist. Because, like, it's all of it, like, not just the Arabian one, like, the Chinese, but, like, all of them kind of...
Russian dance.
They're all, like, culturally appropriating that, like, nationality, ethnicity, / race. You know what I mean?
Don't say that. I love the Nutcracker.
Well, I'm sorry.
Well, we get a bubble transition for the next one, and we zoom in on one of the bubbles, and it shows a bunch of flowers laying down, lifeless, together. That fast-paced part of the Nutcracker... dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, that starts playing,
Yep.
and the Nutcrackers come to life, and they start.
Did you say the Nutcrackers?
I meant the flowers.
Yeah, I
Not
was the Nutcrackers.
The flowers come to life. They jump up and they start dancing together. This is what is known as the Wild Russian Dance, I think it's called.
Yeah.
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 Dancing together in a line, jumping up and down, almost like kicklining.
It's
almost.
very recognizable because if you remember the game Just Dance
Love that game.
with the Rasputin song,
Yeah.
like that's the same.
Is that it?
Rasputin.
Lover
of the Russian Queen. Yeah.
Yeah, I know that whole I
yeah.
remember looking into Rasputin.
Yeah.
Crazy story,
Right? He's wild.
It's crazy.
Rasputin was a interesting man.
Yeah.
Do you know
Anyways.
anything about Rasputin?
Oh god,
No?
it's
Oh
wild.
man, you would find him fun.
You would
He's
find it
Russia's
really.
greatest love machine.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
he
he really
like
was.
he used to like poison himself a little bit every day, so he would become immune to poisons.
yeah.
And they kept trying to kill him,
And he never
and he
died.
wouldn't fucking die.
So then people
Yeah,
thought
like a
he was like
metaverse.
magic,
Yeah,
and everyone
yeah.
wanted to sleep with him.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
He was like sleeping with queens all over the place.
I mean,
he was just-
allegedly.
He was
and
just like a
never
regular
proved that.
person. He wasn't like
No,
royal or
no,
anything?
he wasn't royal, but he became very close with the royal family of Russia at that time because with the queen, which is why the rumors spread. I don't know how true it is if he slept with her. He did sleep with a lot of women though, because he claimed that he could heal their son,
Yeah, he
who
was sick.
had hemophilia,
oh god,
which is like your blood doesn't
No,
clot.
yeah, I know what that
and
is.
he was the
Just-
heir, so they were like, yeah.
And then whatever that he said to do was like a lucky guess, but it was right, and then he was fine.
Well, I mean,
Right?
you can't cure it, but
But
Well-
he didn't get he did something right.
yeah,
where,
it was like probably like the kid probably got like a cut and it wouldn't bleed, and like there are ways to treat that as it's happening, like symptomatically you can treat it. So that's what he did.
Yeah, I feel exactly.
Yeah, so but then he became like basically like the Jafar of the Russian court, you know?
Oh, God.
Or, like
Yeah.
yeah, like and yeah, he anyway, we're getting off topic
Yeah.
here, sorry.
I just love Rasputin's story.
Right?
It's
I know,
so
me
wild.
too. I find it so interesting.
We're almost through this one, so let's
Sorry.
get through.
But anyway, the dance,
Yeah.
that it's easily recognizable only because, like, if you played Just Dance, you would know that the moves are the same. Anyway.
The final segment, thank God, is the Waltz of the Flowers. We see autumn fairies touching all the flowers, turning them gold.
Yep.
And I think brown too. Just as they do, the frost fairies then arrive.
I love them.
After the flowers hit the ground.
Yeah.
And then they arrive with winter. And they turn the same flowers and everything around them icy
Yep.
and like jewel-like.
And then they go ice skating.
Yeah. And then they go ice skating on the ice below, and that's the end of that one. Sokowski fades back on screen to wrap up
Yeah.
the song, and we're done with that one.
And then we're done with the Nutcracker.
The very the very apparently racist Nutcracker.
I know, that was my favorite one. Now, you know what it is? I think that I just am very nostalgic with the
Yeah.
music because it's like has such like tie to ballet and stuff
Yeah.
nowadays. And
Well,
You know what?
you can still love it and just recognize it for what it is.
Yeah.
You know?
You know why I didn't like this one? Because this Fantasia film, it's already 8 different songs and animations in one film.
yeah.
And then this one is like a short broken up into like 6 different mini shorts. So it makes it feel longer and longer because it's not just one story throughout. It just feels like they snuck in 6 more shorts
Yeah.
to make it like 14 in total.
Bastards.
Yep.
I know.
This is my favorite one.
Oh.
It's probably everyone's favorite one.
Nope.
Nope.
No?
They're
It's
not
mine,
her.
not hers. I know
Wait, which
that.
one's the next one?
Sorcerer's Apprentice.
That's,
Oh, yeah,
that's
yeah.
what's next?
Yep.
Oh, good.
Yeah, this makes sense to be everyone's favorite. It's,
It's
probably
not my
major-
favorite.
It's probably not
This
ours.
was the only one I could really understand what the fuck was going on.
because it was Mickey. Because you knew Mickey.
But one part, I'll get to it. I'll just save it.
Well, it's the Sorcerer's Apprentice. Deems comes back on stage, and he even mentions that for this one, it's the only one where the story came first, and then the music paired with it came after, which
Yeah.
is
I
I
true.
didn't catch that part. That's
Because
probably why I feel that way.
Probably.
animation for this one began in 1938. The composition for it is not the Philadelphia Orchestra that we hear in Fantasia. Instead, it's a 100 hand-picked orchestra in Los Angeles recorded specifically for this short. It's also worth noting that originally the role of the Sorcerer's Apprentice was not intended to be Mickey Mouse. Does anyone know who it was? Another animated Disney character?
Donald?
Nope.
I was gonna say that.
I don't know who else. Who else has been introduced by now?
Mortimer Mouse?
No, Dopey.
I actually knew that. You
I
had
did
mentioned
know
this
that.
once before.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went back to Mickey though. Dopey had gotten really popular from Snow
Yeah,
White
Snow White,
because
yeah.
of his
Dopiness.
But yeah, they ultimately went back to Mickey because, as we mentioned before, Mickey's popularity was declining at the time, so they
Yes.
really wanted to boost him back up.
Okay.
Did it work?
Yeah, it did. I mean, they kept a lot of Dopey's traits in the short, even though it's Mickey, like the rolling up the sleeves, his sleeves being too long, that is like in
Yeah.
Snow White, and his like playful attitude. This is kind of like the first time that Mickey is like kind of like happy-go-lucky and
Yeah.
playful. That's why as well.
Gotta stick up his whoop.
Yep.
Yeah, like he's not a bully. I feel like he's just like
An asshole.
clueless.
Mm.
Yeah.
Irresponsible.
Yeah.
A jerk. A thief.
That was like really feel.
Yeah.
He gave
jeez.
the hat back.
We
Because he had to.
we open up the short with the sorcerer conjuring a spell with a skull. The sorcerer, his name is Yen Sid. Anyone know why?
Because it's
Disney
Disney backwards.
That's right. In fact, animators they secretly modeled Yen Sid directly after Walt.
Oh.
And the biggest giveaway for them, at least, was the raised eyebrow look that he gives Mickey. That's something apparently that Walt would do a lot of the time.
Oh, okay.
So it was a dead giveaway. Mickey Mouse, as the apprentice, then appears carrying 2 buckets of water up the stairs. He watches on as Yensid conjures spells before finally... he kind of conjures one that kind of looks like Chernabog a little bit,
Yeah.
and then he turns that into a butterfly. And then Jens...
Wait, do we know who Chernabog is yet? From anything else besides this film?
No.
Okay, just
Yeah,
wondering.
no, he's brand new for us.
Okay.
Yensid eventually has enough for the night. He rests his sorcerer's hat on the table, and he turns in, going up the stairs to go to bed for the night. When he leaves, Mickey sees the hat on the table, and
He's like, ooh.
he decides to put it on, pretending to be the sorcerer.
Except not really, because whatever.
Well, does the power come from the hat?
Yeah, I
I
thought
think
so.
I don't think so. I think that no, because the sorcerer has power later without the hat.
Mickey give him the
That's
hat
true,
back.
Right.
I think what it is that the sorcerer has power, but the hat harnesses said power, and Mickey is the apprentice, therefore has power inherently, but doesn't know how to harness it yet. So when he puts on the hat, it helps him, but he's
can't
a
control
fucking loser. Oh
my God.
Who shouldn't because he shouldn't be doing it yet, and
Yeah, look
so
at
he
him.
doesn't know how to control it, and therefore runs
Stampeded by
into issues.
Mops and buckets.
This all stems from a lazy millennial not wanting to do work.
That is correct. No, I'm just kidding. No, he's just, he's thinking smarter, not harder.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like, that's good. But, like, you gotta know your limits, bro.
Well, here's his thinking. He puts on the hat, and he sees a nearby broomstick. So he casts a spell on the broomstick, and 2 arms spout out, and they grab each one of the buckets. So Mickey guides the broomstick to follow him up the stairs, where there's like a running fountain of water. Now, what is this chore exactly? Why does he have to...
He's filling up some tub. I don't know. Maybe the sorcerer wants to take a bath.
I thought it went
He
to
takes a
sleep.
bath in that tub?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's see. He marches up the stairs with the broomstick, and the broomstick eventually he picks up that he dips the buckets into the water, filling them up, and then Mickey guides him back downstairs to show him where to dump the water.
Yep.
So Mickey's happy because he successfully taught the broomstick his chore, and
Great.
he feels that he can now relax. So he takes a seat in, I guess it's the sorcerer's like chair and desk.
Yeah. And
And as he's watching the broomstick go back and forth, he sees that everything's going smoothly. So he well, I don't know if he decided, but he eventually falls asleep. And then we see like his subconscious take over, and like it goes up into the sky, and we see that he's dreaming. So Mickey, in his dream, he's like standing on a mountainside, and he's able to like redirect all the stars in the sky, and kind of put them where he wants to put them and light them up.
yeah, and then he crashed them all, and then they sprinkle down into the water.
Yeah, and then he controls the water as well too.
So he ruined some lives.
He did. That's
I
okay.
just really hate Mickey, damn.
At least he kept it in the dream, though. But he's water's crashing up. He's controlling the water. He's controlling the skies, and it slowly starts to fade back into reality. And we see that this bucket has been putting in the work. I don't know how long Mickey's been asleep, but
You mean the broom?
what did I say? The
You
bucket.
said the bucket?
Oh, the bucket and the broom. They're putting in work.
Together.
But the room is completely flooded now, The chair is moving around, and what eventually wakes Mickey up is that he falls into the water,
Right.
and he sees that his plan has gone horribly wrong. So Mickey tries to stop the broomstick, who just like walks right through him. He just tramples him because he's got a mission to do. So that's all he knows to do is that he must bring the buckets of water to the other one downstairs.
Yeah, because Mickey wasn't explicit in his instructions.
Well, how does Mickey?
He didn't tell him when to stop.
Yep.
How does Mickey stop him?
He fucking murders him.
Specifically with.
What the hell?
This is like vicious. Like
It's
it's not seen, but like you can see their shadows,
Piece it together.
and it's like flashing
He's
red.
like, die, 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 and I'm like, yo.
He
you
chops
good?
this thing into like 100 pieces,
Yep.
and that
How
doesn't
else
work.
What else was he supposed to do?
Well, karma got him.
Yeah.
Karma got him.
From the 100 pieces of broken broomstick, each it like regenerates as another broomstick
Yeah.
with
Anyone?
2 more buckets. So I guess they were part of this as
I
well.
guess. I think that's great.
Yeah. So now there's like 100 broomsticks.
It just goes to show you that killing your problems does not solve them. They
makes
will
more
come back.
problems.
Yeah.
They will come back because now you got a body to hide.
Yeah.
Murder is not the answer.
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
So the broomsticks all get in the line and they start marching back down to the.
They are relentless.
the
They're
well.
like, we are filling up this fucking bathtub.
Mickey tries to hold them back, but there's like 100 of them, so they just break the door down and they
Yeah.
just trample him going downstairs. The water level keeps rising as they keep dumping more water in. They're actually like walking underwater with the buckets of
and then
water.
they're dumping the buckets full of water
Underwater.
in the water. It's very funny.
Mickey's trying his hardest. He like grabs a bucket. He's trying to like shovel it out, but
Yeah.
it's like 1 versus 1,000 at that point. There's a whirlpool that develops that sucks up
Yeah.
Mickey and the sorcerer's spell book,
And then the sorcerer comes down and he's like, God damn it. I left you alone for 1 fucking second. Can't even take a nap down here. God damn.
he returns to see what all the commotion is. He raises his hands high in the air.
He
as
becomes Moses.
What's
the,
the same?
yeah. The music when he raises his hands in the air. That sound familiar to anyone? PhilharMagic.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
When
what
Mickey.
are you...
Well, the whole thing reminded me of.
PhilharMagic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is with Donald.
I mean,
And,
it's
and
in
the fireworks
PhilharMagic.
at Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
I only saw it once.
But when he takes the stage
Yeah.
back from Donald, same music.
Yeah, it's the
music.
same thing, basically.
The sorcerer clears the room of all the water, and he angrily looks at Mickey with the raised eyebrow. This is the one that we were talking about with
Yeah.
the animators. Mickey, embarrassed by his mistake, he whatever that face was that you showed us, he sheepishly grabs the 2
Take that
buckets of water,
teeth, I don't know.
and he slowly creeps out of the room.
He like hands him the broom,
Yeah.
and the sorcerer's like, "Give me that."
And
Get out of here.
The short ends with him just smacking him on the ass,
Yeah.
sending him out of the room, and
He got a dose of his own
I was
medicine.
Yeah.
just gonna say that.
it's so funny when it's you.
Butt stuff.
Yeah, butt stuff always.
So the screen fades to black, and when it comes back up, we see a silhouette of Stokowski, and a silhouette of Mickey Mouse races up the stairs.
Yeah.
And Mickey congratulates him on his performance, and Stokowski congratulates Mickey on his accomplishment as well.
Which accomplishment is that?
Well, it's a little bit of subtlety here, because what this kind of is like, because Walt is still the voice of Mickey at this point, it's like Walt and Stokowski congratulating each other on their success.
Oh, okay, that's
So
cool.
a nice little moment there of the two of them basically acknowledging each other.
You, Mickey.
But yeah, I like this one. I think this one felt the most like, it felt like a silly symphony, but it also felt like the Mickey shorts as well. So
I agree.
You
It
don't
was
like
the
them,
most
yeah.
familiar.
I've never been a fan of The Sorcerer's Apprentice. I don't know why. There's just something about it that I just don't love.
well, get ready because next is
Is it the dinosaur one?
it's the Rite of Spring.
I hate this
So
one.
before we even get to that, we actually start out with a blooper of all
We
things.
do?
Yeah. As Deems Taylor is announcing the next work,
Oh yeah.
there's a sudden loud crash, and the camera turns to like the chimes player.
Yeah, and he's like struggling and it's falling
There's,
on
like-
Oh, I
him.
thought that was on purpose.
No.
Well, so when it happened, I was like, "There's no way that was on purpose. Why'd they leave that in?"
It's a legit blooper.
Yeah, but why'd they leave it in?
Just as a
Haha.
yeah, like
This
a-
poor guy is immortalized on TV is dropping the instrument.
they just thought it was funny and a nice comic relief, and they just left
Okay.
it in.
I mean, it needed the humor.
yeah,
so.
it did. You're right.
It was omitted on the general release of
Okay.
this film, like to across the country.
Yeah.
But the road show, which is the special where they had the special theaters,
Yeah.
they left it in because they just thought it was,
The poor guy.
yeah. They just thought it was kind of humorous.
He's known as the guy that chimes
Yeah, like, man.
Deems completely no-sells it too. He just kind of like looks at it and he's like, well, anyway, we're gonna go right to the rite of spring. This would actually end up being.
That guy got fired at the end of the day.
But they kept it in.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
Take your chimes and get out of here. We don't need you. This ended up being kind of a controversial one in like music circles at the time.
Oh, you mean just music circles or?
The song?
It's controversial here, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Because the original composition was by Igor Stravinsky.
Yeah.
It was a series of tribal dances when he
Yes.
did it. But Disney visualized it as more of the story of growth of life on Earth. In fact, so this
You're
one's
telling
long.
me they listened to hundreds of songs and they picked this tribal one?
Yeah.
How about
and
this?
you know what's interesting? I studied this one in music theory, and
Okay.
I've seen the performances of how it's actually supposed to be, and it actually is extremely different.
How about this? We get the edited version here.
Yeah.
This was originally longer.
Yeah.
Disney
Oh,
visualized it past where it ends, and it goes into like the age of mammals and the first humans. Mm-hmm. So this could have
thank
been longer than it turned out to be.
And it was already 22 minutes.
Yeah. Stravinsky was the only living composer at the time when Fantasia was made. They contacted him about the rights to use this piece, and he offered instead to compose a completely new piece for Disney. Disney was not interested.
Yeah.
Instead, they just had Stokowski reorchestrate his piece and reorganize it, which
did he not?
Stravinsky hated.
Of course he did.
And
because...
he hated Fantasia as a result of this,
Yeah, and I
because
don't
they feel like he
blame him.
butchered his work.
And all they had to do was just be like, yeah, could you compose something new? That would be wonderful. Thank
That's
you.
like that blew me away, because like you've got Stravinsky here saying, I'll do something just for you. And Disney said, nah.
Well, I understand like what Disney was doing. They were trying to pick like
Yeah.
well-known pieces, so they didn't want something new.
At that point, they probably decided this is what we want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
But that was not smart.
Because
I
by
mean, like,
that
it ended
point-
up being fine because they made so much money, but I feel like longevity-wise, in terms of the life of the film, it would have been better off to do it the other way, because it would have been unique, and it would have been something that, you know, like, it would have had more of a legacy, I
But
feel
also,
like.
the way that they're doing this is that they sat down, they listened to all these pieces, and the artists already have an image in their head of what they're going to do.
Yeah.
So, like, if Stravinsky does something brand new, I mean,
So they listen to a new piece of music,
and then they have to start all over again, like, coming up with something.
Yeah, they
And-
probably already knew. I would have just been like, okay, fine, but this is like, can you make a song that makes it about the story of the world?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
In this film, containing all these shorts relating to, like, heaven and the afterlife, Deems says here that this is a reproduction of what science thinks went on for the first million years on this planet.
First million years?
Yeah, the first million years.
Oh, yeah, I guess you're right, in the beginning.
Organisms underwater, to marine creatures, to
Mm-hmm.
amphibians, and then to dinosaurs. And let me tell you, Deems Taylor fucking hates dinosaurs.
Yeah, he does.
He goes on like
He's
a...
like they're.
He goes on a rant.
These horrid little creatures, no bigger than the size of like evil chickens or some shit,
Yeah.
and I'm like, dang.
He says-
And he's like, some can fly and some can swim. Or, no, he said that. He said something about,
He
he's like,
said-
the one's brave enough to come out from the water.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Ambitious enough. Yeah.
He says the word dinosaur comes from two Greek words, terrible lizard, and
Yes.
they certainly were that. They came in all shapes and sizes, from little crawling horrors to 100-ton nightmares, and they were not very bright, having only pigeon-sized brains.
Yeah, like
Easier.
rude.
Like, fuck you, pigeons.
And then,
Like,
and then his least favorite is the T-Rex, because he was like,
among all the bullies and gangsters of the world, there was the T-Rex, the meanest killer. Fuck you, T-Rex, you piece of shit. You go to hell,
I'm like,
you
wait, no,
die.
he didn't say that.
no, but he literally was like just shitting on everything, and I'm like, man, you should be happy they did, because they would come for you.
Yeah.
That's why he said that. You knew they weren't going to do anything.
Yeah.
To do
You
Speak
won't.
ill of the
You
dead.
won't.
Yeah, exactly.
The short opens up far away, zoomed out on a galaxy. The camera slowly makes its way.
So slowly.
Zooming in
So
more
slowly.
and more on the universe as we pass the sun.
Is this the one you have? Oh yeah, it is the one you have up. Did
Let's
you
see.
watch this one?
Yeah.
Let's see if we can review this before it's done playing on Alex's phone there.
Okay.
It eventually gets to Earth. I did not realize this was Earth at first, because it was all like, I thought it was Mars. I was like, why would
Yeah, I thought it was
starting
outer
at Mars? But it's Earth, early Earth. The planet is filled with nothing but volcanoes and
So much
constantly
lava.
erupting with lava.
Which, like, and I got a beef with the lava. If anyone's ever seen live footage of lava, have you?
Yeah.
Yes.
Everybody has.
Yes. Yeah. The consistency of lava does not move that way. They took the way they animate water and then they made it red to be lava. Lava is so much slower and it's like thicker and it's like it doesn't move like water
Maybe I haven't
does.
seen lava in 1940.
Well, I feel like if you're gonna draw it, you should research it.
I agree. I mean, they bring in real animals.
Yeah,
for
why couldn't they go
animations.
travel to a volcano with lava?
But also maybe, maybe they didn't have the advanced technology and they're like, let's just do exactly what you said. Use what we already have for water.
I mean, Disney has never done that.
Yeah, reuse their animation.
So we come across a giant volcano with lava spilling all over the sides. There's like rivers of lava flowing throughout the land everywhere, and eventually falls into the bodies of water, and we get like this duel between like water and lava, like
Yeah.
battling for supremacy. Eventually, the water wins and rises up, and it begins to fill the volcano, submerging it in water.
Mm-hmm.
Music fades out, and when it returns, we have a much more peaceful setting. In the water, we see single white cell amoebas starting to form. From there, they develop into like small marine life. They start sprouting like legs and arms.
Yeah.
Then they develop.
Tadpoles.
Yeah, then they develop into like solid fish-like.
Yeah. When you said tadpoles, that reminds me I thought they were sperms.
That fish life then turns into like normal, regular-looking fish that we see today, including jellyfish.
Yeah.
They grow bigger in size. It's constantly evolving.
Yep.
And eventually it'll evolve into, we see like sea monsters in the background and like kind of like a turtle almost like creature, which eventually makes its way onto land.
Peeks its head out of the water.
Yeah. It's like, oh fuck, I don't want to be in here.
Yeah.
They trying to eat me.
More and more animals start to make it out of the water and onto land, and they start taking the appearance of dinosaurs.
Yep.
Up above the water, we see pterodactyls.
Which is the worst dinosaur ever, by the way.
They're scary.
They're scary. Do you know how big they are?
Were. They did. No, weren't they like enormous?
They were humongous.
Yeah.
And I feel
Giant
like,
wings.
Yeah, like their wingspan is like, and they would have totally just like nabbed all of you.
They swoop down from the cliff down to the water and attempt to catch fish, but one of them is pulled down into the water by I wrote this down, the Tylosaurus.
Ah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
On land, everything is going well for the land dinosaurs. We see Triceratops, Stegosaurus, any land dinosaur. Mm-hmm. And they all didn't live around the same time,
Well,
but that's okay.
that was my beef because, well, just
okay.
Yeah, this is very not historically accurate.
No, not
at
even a
all.
little bit. And I mean, like, I know that, like, from the time this was made till now, we know so many more things about dinosaurs.
Yeah, like,
such
they
as
had
they had feathers. Yeah. But, anyway, continue.
Just then, the tone of the music changed, and all the land dinosaurs turn their attention to a noise in the distance. From behind the trees emerges a gigantic Tyrannosaurus Rex.
With arms that are way too big for what it actually would have been. The arms would not have been that big.
All
T-Rex
those-
have
Little
Little
arms,
arms.
a big head, little arms.
All those dinosaurs were like, oh, that's not fair. He's got arms. But yeah, it's the meanest killer.
It's an overgrown chicken.
The pigeon brain T-Rex. Fuck you. The music changes to panic as all the land dinosaurs run for their lives.
They make them all look like deer. Like the way they stop and they're like, whoo.
Yeah.
You know?
They all retreat to water except for a lone Stegosaurus who's not very fast.
Which the Stegosaurus, the amount of time between a Stegosaurus and a T-Rex is, like, from existing is longer than a T-Rex and us existing. That's how far apart they are.
So they weren't alive at the same time.
No,
ever.
not even.
So it's
no.
not realistic.
No, it's not. Not even a little fucking bit. And I was so annoyed about it because I'm like, wait a second, that is not even remotely accurate.
This poor thing, he tried.
Wait, was this information even available like back in the 40s?
I have
Probably
no
not.
idea.
Dinosaurs?
Probably not, but I'm still gonna shit on it.
Yeah. Okay.
This poor thing, he put up a fight. He
But they
tried.
knew how the dinosaurs went extinct, right?
Well, not then,
No.
actually. If you look
Because
it
we'll
up,
get to that.
Oh, okay. 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't what
no,
happened.
there were rivaling theories,
Mhm.
and now we know
Oh,
better.
okay.
But
The T-Rex is fighting the Stegosaurus, and he's like chomping down on his neck.
yeah,
I was actually like really surprised, like
how
that
graphic
how graphic it was. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Stegosaurus tries to fend him off. He keeps whacking him with his tail that's got like spikes on it.
Pathetic, the whole thing.
He's trying.
Yeah.
Eventually, though, the T-Rex is able to kill the Stegosaurus, and he roars in victory as
Yeah.
he eats his prey and it fades out.
Yeah, and all the other dinosaurs are like, All right,
Damn.
bye.
Can't believe he's got
R.I.P.
hands. He's on 2 legs.
Baby's got hands.
The next morning, I guess, we see sunrise with an orange sky, and the land is...
I don't think it was the next morning. I think
It's
it was
probably
supposed
not.
to
You're
show
probably
that
right.
time had elapsed.
That's a quick development, I guess you're right. Damn, shit moves crazy back then. But the land...
It's another day.
Yeah.
The land is completely desert-like. It appears there's no more plant life. There's no water.
Nope.
All the dinosaurs are marching along, searching
Poor
for food or water.
Triceratops was drinking mud.
I know. It was like it wasn't even mud. It was just
yeah,
like
it was
just like
dry
slop.
dirt.
Yeah.
I was like, there's nothing there, bro. Like the guy before you tried. Why are you
I
trying
know.
now?
So sad.
They keep getting stuck in the mud, and with no energy left, they just collapse into the ground under the heat. Fast forward a little bit, and we see that the dinosaurs have all turned to skeletons in the sand. And then the ground begins to shake, and a massive earthquake takes place, splitting the land apart with mountains crashing into each other, and then a rising tide of water. Where were you? Like, where did all this water come from?
Yeah, like the dinosaurs could have used you
Yeah.
a while ago.
But no, let's drown their bodies now. It begins to fill in the empty lower lands between the terrains that have risen up. The sun sets on Earth, and we see a planet primarily covered in water now.
Yep.
And
was
there you go. It
thinking-
wasn't a comet. It wasn't a meteor that killed the dinosaurs. It was immense heat with no plant life or water. That mean these dumb little small pea-brained dinosaurs just died
Yeah.
because they couldn't take the heat.
But
You
it
go to
was
hell and you die.
It was that thing that moved the...
the tectonic plates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
So
wondering, I'm like, is this why they think that like they find dinosaur fossils underground because like they got eaten and
Yeah, by
fell
the
into
earth.
the earthquake?
Probably.
But it's like interesting.
Then
like
also what happened to all the fish?
yeah, but
like-
it's like interesting. Like we were just talking about it because like I kept waiting for like a meteor because like
Me too.
today that's
We
just if you
know.
ask anyone how did the dinosaurs die, they'd say a meteor or a comet crashed into the earth
It
killing
was an
them all.
asteroid. Fun
It was an
fact.
asteroid? Okay.
Yeah, and they are different. And also, the asteroid landed. They think it was about the size of Mount Everest, and it landed in the Gulf of Mexico, like right off the coast in the Gulf of Mexico, and it has a name. I forget now. But yeah, so that's what happened.
And then
there's a
it was
huge
all-
crater.
It was Pangea too, so
Yes.
it didn't make
Is that what you were thinking of, Pangea? Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't crazy about this one.
Me either.
22 minutes is way
I
too
know.
long.
Also-
like Office episodes are 22 minutes long.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is way too.
22 minutes of funny.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is way
the
too long.
colors of this animation too to me was like so dry. It was just
Yeah.
like reds, yellows, and browns, and
Yep.
I was like, I was over it.
Yep. Yeah. This is my least favorite one.
I think we're all in
Actually.
agreement actually on that.
Yeah.
The
Composer could say the same thing.
Yep.
Dumb
And
animals.
also, like, I know that it was, like, not... I know it's not accurate to how we now know things happen, but, like, it's just...
Even if it
that
was.
good,
Yeah.
Too long.
It
Way
was
too
just- I don't know. I just
And
don't like it.
too long, and like it didn't need to be as long as it did.
Yeah.
There's a lot of parts where it just feels dragged out. I mean,
Yeah.
that's this whole film.
and to
But, like,
know that it was longer and that they cut it,
And,
Oh my
and,
God.
and they butchered it and just, like, totally
could you imagine if
ruined
this
it,
thing went a
like-
full half hour?
I would die.
I don't think I would have made you guys watch it.
We would skip this
I would
one.
have been like, you skip it.
Alex
And
is
then-
like, I didn't even watch it.
No, I watched this one.
And then speaking of like time, so I got faked out because I was so happy that Deems Taylor, he comes back and he says, we're going to take
Take a 15-minute intermission.
I know, I thought it was going to be 15 minutes of nothing.
I looked at how much time was left. And I saw an hour, and I was like, okay, so like Disney Plus always does like 10 minutes of credits, so 10 minutes right there, 15 minutes with this intermission. There's only like a half hour left. 10 seconds, and they come right back
Well,
up.
I didn't think that. I wasn't thinking that at
Oh,
all.
I
But I was
thought-
like, wait, are they actually going to make us sit here for like 15 minutes? Like, how are they going to do an intermission on a movie?
I was like,
Yeah.
oh damn.
Because when they filmed this, did they film this in front of a, like the orchestra and stuff? Did they film it in front of a live audience?
No.
So then why the hell do they keep that in there?
Because
Well, they did-
because most pieces of music, like
Yeah,
concerts like that do have an intermission.
Well, yeah.
This is-
I guess, and also did they have an intermission when they played it in films?
They did.
In the movie theater?
Yeah.
That
this is
makes
actually
sense.
the only Disney film that has an intermission.
Yeah.
Is this movie? After the intermission, the orchestra starts to make their way back onto the stage. Band members, they start improvising, and they play like a little like impromptu like jam session.
Yeah, my question was this planned?
So,
because it seemed
it
like
is.
the lighting was planned.
It is planned.
Because
It's-
they seem too quick with those lights.
It was planned specifically for like these type of performances that they were showing in like the road show theaters. They would give you the intermission in the theater, and it was kind of like an impromptu like secret session. So when you were coming back to your seat, if you got there early, and you're sitting in your seat waiting for it to start up with the second act, you were treated to like this little secret jam session where if you were still out in the lobby or whatever, you
missed it.
You missed it, yeah. So it was kind of rewarding.
Yeah. How dare you have to get up and go to the bathroom?
You didn't see like towards the end, like one of the bass players like taps the other one on the shoulder, like Deems is back on stage. Shut up.
Yeah.
After the jam session, Deems introduces a special guest for the audience. It's a soundtrack. Here we see a single wavelength vertical line shift its way to the center of the screen. From there, Deems introduces a bunch of different instruments.
Was cute.
It was like, who did it remind you of?
He reminded me of Face.
From Nickelodeon.
Hi there, Face here. Yeah.
Face is coming back, I think.
Really? I loved Face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he introduces a bunch of different instruments that the soundtrack makes like a wavelength representing each one. He does the harp, violin, trumpet, drums, a lot of them, to show you like what they look like visually. I guess you would say visual representation of the instrument.
Yeah.
And then we go to the next one, which is the Pastoral Symphony by Beethoven. When Beethoven composed it,
it kind of reminded me also of like you've heard of synesthesia?
No.
Have either of you heard of it?
Yeah.
Synesthesia is when you have like if you hear a name or like a sound, you like picture like a color or a pattern or something,
okay.
or like a smell or a taste.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it reminds me of.
When Beethoven composed the Pastoral Symphony, it represented a day in the countryside from his home. Disney, however, expanded past the countryside to Mount Olympus and the Greek gods. So
I like this one.
I like
this one too.
Greek god stuff.
I do have a couple beefs with it, but we'll get there.
Is it about it not being realistic?
No.
we open up on a peaceful mountain with a sunrise, just like every one of these opens.
Yeah.
Tiny unicorns are running through the meadow.
Tiny unicorns.
That's what they were.
I loved that part. The
How
tiny
else would you describe
unicorns.
it?
So
It's just-
funny.
yeah.
Like My Little Ponies. Yeah, they were so cute.
They find young fawns playing their horns, frolicking around. The tiny unicorns join in with them. Above them, we see adult Pegasus flying around with their little Pegasi. Baby Pegasi.
Pegasus is his name.
What are they called then?
I don't know.
Oh, didn't he tell us?
Yeah, I wasn't listening.
forget.
Hold on, I'll look it up. A mythical winged divine horse.
Well, I have it all through my notes as Pegasus, so that's what I'm going to use.
Oh, he has a sibling. Their name is Creosaur.
A mama Pegasus teaches her little one how to properly fly. We go to nighttime now, and we see adult female centaurs bathing in the river. They're topless, but
Well,
they
some
are
of them
also
have like flowers and shit, you know.
but they're also nippleless.
They are
so Very
nippleless.
tasteful. Very very well done, Disney.
Till later.
Reproductive organs.
They have I don't know what they call it, like little cupids flying around.
No, they're cherubs,
Cherubs.
right?
Yeah.
They're
Oh,
cherubs,
I thought
right?
they were cupids. Okay. A couple baby cherubs, they spot like a herd of male centaurs,
And they're like,
and they are like roaming free their best life. It's just a herd of men just like looking for women, just like
They're
running
like,
through.
Girls, where are the girls?
But the cherubs take this opportunity to like further apply makeup and dress up the female centaurs. One of them has like two birds on her head.
Yeah.
And it turns them around to give them the butt. Like that's more enticing to a man, I guess. The cherubs end up bringing the two genders together. Kind of a weird spot here. They like it's actually up here right now.
Yeah,
They like
funny.
replay the same animation
Yeah, right
twice
there.
in a row. It's literally the same animation of a centaur like walking down the stairs.
Yeah, it was the
Was
one
that an
before
accident?
I don't know, but they just repeated it twice.
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah. The male suitors start to pair off with female centaurs, matching by color, because this is 1940 and there's no such thing as interracial marriage.
No, there was
all
like
the-
one. There was like one couple that was like one was red and one was yellow. I think
It's close enough.
so. They made orange.
All
The men don't have nipples, which I think is weird because they're not used for anything. So what's the point?
I mean, in real life, men don't need nipples.
I know, but like
They
they
have
have
useless
them.
nipples, and they shouldn't have them. They're blessed with nipples, and they shouldn't get to enjoy them because they don't do anything.
Okay.
No offense.
Don't look at me.
You
I
guys
wish.
got useless
I
nipples.
wish my nipples had use. All the couples lovingly spend time with each other. They're on swings together. They're feeding each other. They're sitting by the river. There is one lone blue male centaur that the Cupids have.
And they're like, oh no.
Yeah, they notice him.
He's so sad. There he is.
They look in the other direction, and there's a female blue centaur who also has no.
Well,
match.
I'm sorry, but Darwinism a little bit, okay? Because, like, y'all are the only two left.
Yeah.
Are you telling me you didn't see each other?
These
know.
centaurs
Hello?
need to have their hands held to match up with each other.
Literally.
Yeah.
And, like, I get it because, like, you know, maybe they just didn't like each other. Maybe they just were, like, not feeling it, and that's fine.
Well, the cherubs weren't having it because they matched these two up. They introduced them to each other.
They
but
played their little creepy flutes.
They seemed happy.
Woo.
They seemed happy to find each other.
Yeah, because they played the flutes that hypnotized them, and now they're a good match.
So they
They made them fall in love.
so they grab each other's arm and they walk off to like a gazebo of some kind.
He's getting some.
Don't look over here.
Do not
Weird-
disturb.
Weird stuff's about to go on over here.
Some butt stuff.
Yeah. The cherubs draw the curtain to give them some privacy, and we, the audience, are treated to the lovely scene of a of a cherub's butt taking the shape of a heart. Aw.
So romantic.
Yeah.
But he's a little pervert peeking
Yeah.
through the curtain.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fade up, and now all the centaurs are working, carrying grapes to like a giant bucket.
Yeah.
Inside the bucket, the fawns are prancing around while playing their flutes, mashing the grapes to make wine. Someone say wine?
I am Bacchus, god of wine, and I am Bacchus's friend.
What?
He is the Roman god of parties and wine, and can't you tell? Because he is already
Roman god
incredibly...
of parties and wine.
Of course they did. Are you
Why did
kidding?
they not teach about this in
This-
school?
this-
They don't want you to think it was fun.
This man
Wow.
is incredibly intoxicated.
He looks like Tweedledee and Tweedledum to
He
me.
does. His donkey that he rides in on is
It's
also
a
incredibly...
unicorn. It's a unicorn donkey.
It's a unicorn donkey who is also incredibly intoxicated.
That's Bacchus's friend.
Yeah. The fawns have to like literally drag him up the stairs to his throne.
No, but okay, wait. We were gonna talk about this.
Yeah, so who was he let in by?
He's let in. Did you guys notice? No? Can we okay, wait, he's gonna come up. I want you guys to watch this because it's kind of fucked up. Look at the girls he's got with him.
Oh yes, there were zebras.
But they're black and they're fucking depicted as zebras.
I thought that too because I was like zebras. So we know that centaurs are half horse, half people.
Yes.
Zebras are not related to horses. They're more so related to giraffes. Oh, and also now that I'm seeing this, I had so many thoughts in my head. The
That reminded me of
donkeys
Pinocchio.
reminded me of Pinocchio.
Yeah.
I wanted to say that.
Yep. But it just like is so fucked up. Like why are
They zebras.
why are the zebras the black ones? Like
That
what
is-
the fuck?
Or
It is kinda
zebras
fucked
for
up.
you,
Zebras.
you British.
I
folk.
like to say zebra.
Oh god, I hate saying zebra.
I love
It's so-
zebra.
The fawns drag Bacchus onto his throne, which ends up sliding down and crashing into a tree.
Damn.
The centaurs all dance around and party with Bacchus. So they're partying, they're having a good time dancing with Bacchus, and Bacchus takes this as an invitation to just openly chase the female centaurs
Yeah,
around.
he's looking for some.
He's a creeper.
He's got his arms out like gimme, 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 like
yeah,
chasing
and
them around.
they start dicking around with him. Like they're mean.
Yeah, well, eventually he settles on his own donkey, and he plants a big old smooch on him.
I don't think he realizes that's what's going on.
He was a
but
little
probably
blinded
too
at the
drunk.
time.
yeah, beer goggles, you know.
The happy celebratory music comes to a sudden stop as everyone looks up to see a giant storm cloud heading their way, and through the dark clouds, Zeus like pokes his big old fat giant head through.
And he's like,
He's
"Who's
like-
getting raped today?"
He's like, "Hey, how's it going?"
"Sorry, Malachi."
So, Zeus here is kind of a psychopath.
Zeus is always a psychopath.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Zeus is a dick.
he sees everyone partying, having a good time, and he decides now's the perfect opportunity to start hurling thunderbolts
Yeah.
at them, specifically at Bacchus. Only Bacchus.
yeah.
Fuck Bacchus. Everyone disperses. This is an unlawful gathering. They run for cover, and giant gusts of wind
It's a
come.
raid during the Prohibition.
Well, it was like he kissed the donkey, and he was like, "Oh no, we cannot have this."
Now bestiality under my
Yeah.
watch.
I like this unicorn though. This unicorn with the babies run under it, and it's just like, I will withstand.
Everyone disperses. Gusts of wind come blowing in to torment them as well. Zeus, the dick that he is, destroys the giant wine bucket, and floods the land with wine. All this work that they put in, just gone in seconds.
And he's just like really just loving it. And I forget the guy's name who hammers the thunderbolts.
Oh yeah, Deem said it in the beginning, and I didn't write it down.
I forget his name, but he's just, I mean, he looks like Thor a little bit.
Yeah, well, Bacchus doesn't really seem to mind all that much because the river is now wine, so he just drinks all the wine in the river.
Yeah.
Eventually, Zeus has had enough fun tormenting the land, and
he's
throws...
such an ass. Like, I cannot express it enough how much of an ass Zeus is, like, even in the real mythology. They really depicted him well here.
And the cockiness here, because he throws his last remaining thunderbolts, and he gets a little tired, so he kicks off his sandals, and he just goes for a nap in the clouds, like, I'm done for the day.
What's wrong, Hills?
So Zeus takes his nap in the clouds now that he's had his fun. The sky starts to clear up, and the sun makes its way back out. Out comes Iris, goddess of the rainbow. Her rainbow is inverted. Red is on the bottom.
Yeah, a lot of times it's depicted that way. I don't know. I've said this to you before. Anytime you see rainbows, like anywhere, like whether it's on like stuff or anything, it's never like done right.
They sometimes leave a color out.
They leave a color out. They leave multiple colors out, or they switch two of the colors, and I'm like. Is
the rainbow copyrighted?
I know.
Well, that's kind of what I started to think. Like, is the rainbow itself, the design, a copyright? Because really, it's just the way that the light works.
Like, how can you copyright that?
Right.
This one's got red at the bottom and violet at the top because that's her hair.
Yeah, but at least that's just like inverted all the way. But like sometimes it's like blue and green will be flipped, and I'm like, that's not how light works.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Her rainbow creates a colorful reflection in all the water and the wine, brightens up the land again.
I love that they're like playing in the rainbow, like in the puddles and stuff that like are the rainbow, and Bacchus is drinking the rainbow
wine.
I think that's so
He's
cool.
living his best life.
Yeah, it's like Skittles, taste the rainbow.
All the fawns gather on cliffside, stare into the sun, which is dangerous. Don't do that. They see Apollo, the sun god, in his golden chariot as he just waves to all of them.
With his ponytas pulling it.
His ponytas?
Yeah, like the fire horse from Pokemon.
Next up is Morpheus. She covers the sky with her giant...
But isn't Morpheus a man? We talked about this.
Deem said him when referring to Morpheus, but this is clearly...
but I think Morpheus is supposed to be a man.
Well, there's a mix-up here with what we see.
Maybe Morpheus is non-binary.
Maybe. Covers up the sky with their giant body and brings upon nighttime for everybody to go to sleep. And they all start to go to sleep, and finally, our last god appears, and it is Diana. She uses the crescent moon as a bow to fire an arrow, spreading stars all throughout the sky to set the final scene of nighttime as the short comes to an end. I thought this was another long one. I didn't hate this one as much, but putting this right after the Rites of Spring, which was already like a 22-minute one.
Well, we had an intermission.
Yeah, but we didn't.
It was a real intermission.
Where they come back from intermission with another like 20-minute one. Zeus is a little out of his mind. He just tormenting these people for no reason.
Yeah.
Kind of like that asshole that you kid that you had on your block where like they would torment like little animals like squirrels. It's like the same kind of.
Did you have that?
No, but like that's always like people say like there's always that like one
like
troubled
Toy
kid.
Stories,
Sid.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what reminded me of Sid
Oh.
torturing the toys.
Okay.
But yeah,
I didn't have a kid like that. But
I'm not saying that everybody did,
Oh,
but like you know.
It's like that, you know.
Yeah.
Stereotypical kid with the issues. No offense.
All right.
Maybe it was us. Maybe we were that kid. On our block.
Maybe that was me. I don't know.
No, I mean, I was too loving.
Yeah, I didn't do any of that to animals.
I was just mean to my
Neither
sister.
did I, to clarify, since we're just saying this. I never did anything like that.
Next up, Deems introduces the Dance of the Hours. It is a pageant for the hours of day. So you got the light of dawn, light of noonday, evening, early evening, hours of the night, and then finally hours of light, which is all of them together. Mm-hmm. Start out inside of a palace to find a lone ostrich in pink ballet shoes. The name is actually Madame Upanova.
How do we know? How are we supposed to know this name?
I did my research.
No, I know, but like how?
No, they don't tell you.
They don't tell you.
Yeah.
So why do you create the names?
I don't know. She rises from her sleep and she begins the ballet dance on stage, soon to be joined in by other ostriches. She is also the lead here, as all the other ones are like backup dancers. They have, I think it's blue.
It's blue.
Yeah.
I thought it was purple.
No, it's blue.
They're ballet shoes?
Yeah.
Why did I think they were purple?
I don't
It's
know.
close enough.
They're like a baby blue.
Yeah.
The music starts out. Hillary, what's the music here? Hello, mother.
Oh yeah.
Hello, father.
Please take mosquitoes. Really, Father? Thanks for the package. That's why I'm writing. Thanks for sending me new K9 Advantage.
Okay, it's done
The
now.
pink ostrich is dancing with all her background dancers. She feeds them all, throwing fruit down their throats.
Yeah. I thought that was so bizarre.
Yeah, it was weird.
Seems like a choking hazard, but what do I know?
How bizarre.
I guess they were fighting those stereotypes that ballerinas don't eat.
You know, I thought of that too, and I was like, wow, what an interesting way to fix a stereotype.
She saves the grapes for herself.
And they're like,
they
no,
don't
give me
like
more,
this.
bitch. Yeah, they're like,
They-
you can't eat.
They start chasing her all around the stage. They eventually chase her outside, where the grapes eventually fall into a small pool out there, and then they run off. And this is the transition to the next section, which is the light of the noonday. Emerging from the pool,
It's Gloria.
Is that her
The
name?
hippos?
No, from Madagascar. The hippo's name is Gloria, so that's who I
this
see
hippo's
here.
name is Hyacinth Hippo,
Ah.
eating the grapes and posing.
You know,
It's
my
the
mom gave
grapes
me a
and
book
posing.
when I was a kid.
Mhm.
It was named Hillary Hippopotamus.
Did that give you a complex?
I think it did. And she was a ballerina, actually.
So there you go.
It is now early evening as elephants and
Alex is like, this is just ridiculous.
elephants in ballet shoes enter the scene. They make their way to the sleeping hippo.
And they're dicks.
Well, they make sure not to wake her, but they then drink from the pool and they fill everywhere with bubbles.
Yeah, but they blow them all on her.
They blow them on her, and the bubbles eventually lift her and the bench into the air,
Yeah.
and she's just floating up there.
And then right now we're watching it, an elephant gets a fucking bubble stuck on her foot, and I don't understand the significance.
I don't either. I don't even know how you get a bubble stuck
Well,
on your
I just
foot.
don't know how the bubbles carried her where she needed to go, and then when it finally popped, she like ever so gently just like floated to the ground, and then it popped. Like
I don't know.
Not
I don't know.
Not
If
only-
I stepped on a bubble, that would not be the case.
Not only are these bubbles strong, but gusts of wind come in to blow the elephants out.
Yeah, and they just...
They just blow right away. That's
Crazy,
pretty strong. Let's see. And then the hours of night starts. We see like Dracula-looking alligators kind of just creep their way in from above.
They didn't even look like Dracula. What did they look like?
I don't know.
With their capes, like...
Yeah.
That's why I said Dracula. Like,
No, but it was
like
like...
vampires.
Like, I don't even know what it's from. Keep
Well,
going.
I
What
guess
else is
they're like the quote-unquote villains of this one.
What do I? Never mind.
They climb their way down the pillars and they slowly approach the sleeping
They
hippo.
look like they're gonna eat her.
They
That's what I
reminded me of
thought.
like Puss in Boots.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
like the Count of Monte Cristo types?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The last alligator to arrive, he is Ben Alligator.
And he's like in love with her.
He jumps down and he
He's like
scares
this-
off all the other
He's
alligators.
like, this girl thick and I want her.
Well, there's a lot of meat for them to eat.
Yeah.
He approaches the sleeping hippo and all by himself, and the hippo starts to wake up. This next part was crazy. The hippo is scared at first, and she runs way off into the distance. This bitch gets like a 40-yard running start and leaps high up into the air and just comes crashing down belly flops on top of the alligator.
Good for you.
The alligator tries to hold up the hippo but can't. It's,
Sorry.
So fucked
It
up.
just happened.
the two then share like a slow ballroom dance together, spinning around.
She's just like laying like a beached whale.
Seems like she likes it.
He does too.
The alligator bows, and the hippo flirts with him a little more before running off, which
Yeah, you are, because it's not racially insensitive.
now we finally get the hours of light. All the hippos, all the alligators, and all the other animals, like the elephants from before, they've returned. They are all being chased by the alligators.
Yeah, they were like, damn, we getting some.
They were getting for any animal.
They
that was
really,
here.
they were like really hounding them.
Yeah.
They really were.
They run all around. They're all spinning with each other. The alligators grab all the other animals, but the hippos are able to grab the alligators and they're like spinning them by their tail.
Yeah.
And this is where the music starts to get faster and faster. They're all spinning around with each other.
That one alligator picked up an elephant and couldn't get her through the columns.
She couldn't fit through the door.
I know, and I'm like, that's so sad.
And he just left her there as she was
He
like
didn't realize.
wedged through the door.
Yeah, he thought he had her.
Can somebody help me?
Yeah, but then he goes back.
Yeah, he does. Well, so they're spinning and they're spinning together. They're all chasing each other, and the music gets faster and faster until it becomes to the one final note that hits, and they all pose together. And we zoom back out on the palace. The doors crash close, and the short comes to an end. They did their ballet, and that's it.
Yep.
She just slept through her ballet. The hippo. I was thinking that too. It's just going back.
I think like her ballet, like she did her like
Part,
solo,
and she
yeah,
was
and then she
done.
went to sleep.
Okay.
On the stage.
Yeah.
Because like when you think about it, like noon is kind of like a transitory time
Yeah.
during the day, so it's not going to be as long.
Just a little nap.
Just a little cat nap.
nappy nap.
I like this one. I thought it was fun. I got a kick out of all the
This
animals.
one was
Yeah.
one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I remember it very vividly from when I was a kid watching it.
I feel like this one had more humor than anything, you know?
Yeah.
All right. We made it to the last one.
Ooh, the creepiest one.
I like this one.
Deems is back one more time to introduce our last pair of songs.
But he doesn't even say it's the last one.
No.
And it kind of just like...
He just said it.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, okay.
He
He
said
said
our
it's
final
our-
number tonight
yeah.
or something like that.
But then it does just end.
The
and I feel
last
like there should
number
be a
on our
closer.
Fantasia
Yeah.
program is a combination of two pieces of music so utterly different.
You know who this guy reminds me of?
Bill Nye the Science Guy?
No. He reminds me of the creepy guy from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, yeah, the one that whispers in
Yeah,
all the
Slugworth.
Yeah,
ears.
he does. He does.
Yeah.
The last pair of songs that we have are A Night on Bald Mountain and Ave Maria.
Ave.
Ave Maria, excuse me. We open up on a bald mountain. Why you bald? It is a
bald? Why you ugly?
it is a dark night with menacing music opening us up. We all know this one. It's a da 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 da.
No.
I don't think you did that very well.
Oh, how would you go, Victoria?
I don't know. I have to hear it again.
All right, let's put the sound
Everybody
on.
knows
It's
Night
coming
on
right
Bald
now.
Mountain. On top of the mountain sits Chernabog. Chernabog is a giant satanic demon with giant menacing wings to go with it.
I think he looks cool.
He is described as Satan and is often described as Disney's best representation of pure evil.
Well, do you remember him from the parade? Hillary didn't, but that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I was like a Disney.
No, I know.
Yeah.
That's fine. I know.
He's considered one of the original villains in Disney's villain franchise.
Yeah.
By the way, Cherna and Bog translates to black and God. So literally what his
Oh,
name is.
yeah, that's creepy.
His shadow reaches down to completely cover a town, and as he does so, spirits fly up from the town and come up to the mountain to worship him.
Yep.
In the palm of his hand, he is playing with fire, which turns into 3 female dancers, before then translating into like ghoulish creatures,
Yeah.
kind of ugly. Everybody's up there partying, have a good time, celebrating.
What I thought was cool was like the animation of his hands was like
Yeah.
done really well. It was so menacing.
There's a lot of fire and dancing, and you get like different creatures like flying right at the screen,
Yeah.
including female ghoul titties.
Yeah, that's right. And they have nipples.
They have nipples
And I don't
included.
understand why they can have nipples but the other ones couldn't.
Bro,
Doesn't really make any sense.
I was blown.
And they were like blatant nipples. They were like bright
You could
red.
tell they were.
I was
Yeah.
blown away by this. I was like, oh my god, this titty on the screen.
Yeah.
This is Disney. Oh my god.
Oh.
The music fades out and we hear a bell begin to toll, much to Chernabog's fear.
Yo, he's so upset.
Well, and this is the part in the theater where they would have been playing from behind you. Yeah.
And he's looking around like, what the fuck is that? It's
Yeah.
kind of like when like something outside is going on when you're trying to sleep and it's like early in the morning, you know, and the like garbage truck comes or,
Yeah.
or your neighbor's like chopping wood or putting on a roof or some crazy shit.
Yeah, like the landscapers. I find it so soothing when I hear the garbage men come. I don't know why. I can't explain it.
That's weird. No one in the world feels that way.
I think I feel that way because I'm like, oh, it's so early and I'm awake and I can still go back to sleep.
Yeah, some people have trouble doing that.
Yeah, I guess.
As the
I'm
bell
glad you don't have that issue though.
As the bell continues to toll, he covers his eyes in anguish. All the creatures slowly retreat back down the mountain to return to the city where they were pulled from. Chernobog, he why me, holds his fists up into the sky.
Yeah.
In defeat before his wings close back up on himself.
And he turns into a mountain.
He's the top of the mountain.
But so, here's my thing. Okay, wait, what did they say? Because Deems Taylor said in the beginning, before it started, that it was, a night that was equivalent to our Halloween.
Yes, it is. Oh, I had
Friday the 13th?
No, it's got a name. Walpurgis Night. That's what he says.
What does that mean?
It's the equivalent of Halloween for us.
But when does it fall? What date? Is it a real thing?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Walpurgis Night is April 30th and it ends on May 1st. Let's see, it is a traditional holiday celebrated on the 30th in Northern Europe and Scandinavia.
Yeah, that's
Ice Cream Man's coming.
May Day.
You'll probably pick that up.
Oh, I guess so, yeah.
It's got a real
It's the singing of traditional spring folk songs and lighting of bonfires.
yeah, but it's also called hold on. Ugh. You can't move on yet. I have to know.
I wasn't moving on. I was going to
Okay.
tell you a little more.
Go ahead.
The eve of Christian feast day of Saint Walpurga. Feast commemorates the canonization of Saint Walpurga and the movement of relics to Eichstatt.
Beltane.
Mm.
That's what it is.
Okay.
And it's known as May Day. Yeah, it's also a Wiccan or a witch holiday. It's a paganistic holiday.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
Well, as Chernobog is defeated and he turns back into the top of the mountain, we begin the Ave Maria section. This is going to be really quick. We see people marching, carrying lights, just their silhouettes. They march through the woods.
It's like the elves in Lord of the Rings when they're leaving.
They did it better there because they marched through the woods, and then the woods some more, and over a bridge, and then through the woods some more. In real time, 3 straight minutes of them just slowly marching along.
Really?
Nothing happened. Yep. I went back and looked at this. Nothing happens. They're just marching while the song is being sung. 3 straight. This is what I mean. They're at the end and they're dragging this thing out.
You're dragging it.
We hear a woman's voice fade up as she
Do you
sings.
think the animators just got lazy?
No, because I feel like there really
yes,
isn't
they
any...
were marching because at first I was like, "What is?" And then I was like, "Oh, they're marching with torches."
Yeah.
3
Because at
minutes.
first they looked like faces. Like I thought they were floating head. Like I had no idea what I was looking at first because I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And then as they zoomed in on them marching, and I was like, "Oh, they're their heads are on fire." And then I was like, "Oh no, they're a little bit ahead of their heads." So
They're
they're
carrying lantern type things.
Yeah, and then I was like, "Oh, maybe they're just torches," or
Yeah.
They
Woman's
were so circular.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Woman's voice fades up as she sings, and we get a lone light peeking through the darkness. The light is coming through trees, and as we continue to move forward through the trees, we get this real revealing of paradise almost, lighting up the trees and afterlife kind of. We pass through the trees until we are lifted up through the clouds to the morning sky. The sun rises over the distant mountaintops, lighting up the sky yellow and orange, like everything is in this film. Screen slowly fades to black, concluding our film. Not even at the end screen.
I know.
It just
I know.
fades, and
I
that's
know.
it.
And the credits. And
Yeah.
I thought we would have went back to the orchestra or something.
There's
And they would have taken a bow or something. Because
Yeah.
if they were trying to make this a real orchestra, they would all give a bow.
there are actually no credits in this movie at all. Not in the beginning like they do with
Yeah.
Disney films, and not at the
yeah,
end. There's
right.
no credits in this.
I
I
know.
think there might have been during the intermission,
Yeah.
but we don't get that.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
there's no credits in this at all.
It's true.
And that's how the film comes to an end. So,
You end up in the field of reeds.
yeah. Closing thoughts? Anybody got any overall feelings on this film?
Let me kiss you.
Thank you, Alex.
It was long, but it wasn't that terrible. I really wish I would have watched it a second time, just without the sound.
Without sound,
or
yeah.
the first time focused more on the music, and then what? But it was so long that I don't think I would have
Yeah.
done that if I had free time.
I think when you're watching it for the purpose of what we're doing here, it's kind of excruciating watching this because you're trying to figure out like how am I going to describe this? What are my thoughts on this? How do I even like comment on this? But I do think like if you were to sit down and watch this on your own,
You'd fall asleep.
you'd fall asleep, but like maybe if you had it on as like the background,
Yeah.
like I don't think it would be as bad. But then again, like would you get the full feel of it? I don't know.
Because I definitely missed parts by doing something else, but I know that I would have fallen asleep.
Yeah, I think in 1940, sitting in a theater experiencing this probably was mind blowing.
Yeah.
And
Probably.
it probably warrants the applause that it
Yeah.
got. But I just think on Disney Plus on your TV, maybe not so much.
Yeah, I agree.
But I don't know. I think it's got some parts that are at least somewhat enjoyable. Like I like the Sorcerer's Apprentice. I like the Dance of the Hours with all the different animals, and at least the first half of Night of Bald Mountain I thought was kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've watched it like a lot, and I think it's like it's nice, you know, like if you're looking for something relaxing or like whatever, like I think it can be mentally stimulating for like little kids and stuff like that with all the colors and like things like that. But
Yeah.
for me, and it's a nice way to like introduce classical music, but I personally don't ever need to watch it ever again. And I do think that it did not age well because I think that they were very like they like made it for the time they made it for. They didn't make it to be like this long haul type of film. You know what
I
mean?
almost think like I know they did years later they did Fantasia 2000.
Yeah.
But I think now with the technology they have, this might even be better to release in theaters, and you
Yeah.
probably could achieve everything you wanted to achieve.
Yeah, with the smell-o-visions, like
Yeah.
they should do that. and
I almost think like in Disney Springs, that movie theater, if they just had a theater
just dedicated.
just
to that
dedicated to
stuff.
this film, and they gave you the full experience that Walt intended,
Yeah, that
it would
be
probably
cool.
be a better experience.
I would go
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
I feel like though, just stick to the only things that can be remade into movies are books. Stop making music into movies. It's not working.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess they technically do listen to that because they don't do the silly symphonies anymore.
Yeah.
So there's that.
I feel like it's just really hard to build a story around a piece of music because music is so
It could fit
much.
so many different
It's so
things.
subjective and it's so like personal to the person listening to it, and it just like different sounds mean different things to different people, and it just like I feel like it's really difficult to make something that's compelling universally.
I almost think, kind of like to what you're saying, if you're someone who actually has never actually seen Fantasia, I would almost be curious if you were to just watch this and actually close your eyes and like see what you come up with and like what
Yeah, like
you picture.
my grandpa, and then he
Yeah.
fell asleep.
Yeah, exactly.
Close your eyes without sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just see what your mind, especially those first couple ones that are so like interpretive. Just
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess recommend. I don't know.
I mean, like I think it's worth seeing at least once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a classic.
I think if
that
you're a
you
fan
have
of
to.
Disney, like you kind of have to at least be put through
Yeah.
the ringer and watch this.
Yeah,
you know?
and I also think that it kind of like, I think it's important historically for like what the company of Disney means. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it does put them, in a big accomplishment with this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I
going
don't
forward.
think anyone else did anything like this, so it's
Yeah.
very unique.
Yeah.